We have had an amazing time in Thailand. We have been here for the last 2 months and have just been blown away by our experience. The people here are so kind and friendly. The culture is very safe and considerate. The cost of living is lower. The food is amazing. There is so much convenience and opportunities for amazing experiences. And really, just the overall quality of life here has been better for us than it was in the United States. And it has especially been a positive experience for our 2-year-old. So we have, of course, considered if moving here, or at least living here for a longer term basis, would be beneficial to us and if it is something that we would consider. And it has. And so I'm going to kind of go over with you what the cost would look like for us if we decided to move here, and then some of the pros and cons that we have come across so far. So all the numbers that I'm going to be sharing with you in this budget is going to be a semi-luxury cost of living, at least for us, much higher standard of living than what we're used to in the United States, and just an overall better quality of life. So everything is kind of rounded up and kind of the most that we would envision ourselves spending if we decided to move to Thailand. I'm also going to do these numbers based on Bangkok because right now that would be the most likely place that we would consider moving to. Although Thailand is a huge country and we have only visited a small part of it, just about everywhere else would be cheaper than this. So Bangkok is kind of like the most expensive place we would stay. And this is going to be the top of our budget if we decided to live here. So we could make all these numbers much, much lower, but still, I think you're going to be shocked at the total budget breakdown, and then also considering the extremely high quality of life that you would have here. Number one, the most expensive part of just about everybody's life would be housing. We have budgeted in $1,000 for housing in a 2-bedroom condo, including everything. Condos that you would get here would come fully furnished. It would have a gym, a pool, a workspace, a lobby area. And this also includes electricity, water, internet, oftentimes included in your rental fee, but if not, those things are not very expensive, and we would consider all of that as part of our housing cost. Now, this would be the highest amount that we would pay. There are definitely condos that are less expensive. The next big expense is going to be transportation. There are so many options for public transportation in Bangkok. We think we would spend about $50 a month just taking subways, the SkyTrain, Grabs occasionally. You could, an option would be to buy a motorbike, which you could get a motorbike for about $450. But if we lived in Bangkok, we wouldn't do that just because it is so dangerous, basically, to drive around there, especially as a family. And there's just so many other options where you don't even have to drive, you don't have to own a vehicle. If we lived on an island or somewhere that was a little bit more rural, we would consider buying a motorbike for $450. Gas for that would be about $20 a month, but in this budget, I haven't included that because we're kind of looking at just Bangkok. Other options for transportation here are if you wanted to rent a motorbike, you could do that for $100 a day, which we did when we were on an island here for a month. We stayed on Koh Kood and we rented a motorbike for the entire time we were here. And then if you want to rent a car, they run about $25 a day. So if you had a trip you wanted to go on and we wanted to drive there, we could just rent a car for like 25 bucks. And we have done that also before. Food, I have budgeted $15 a day, which would be $450 a month. That is currently what we're living on, traveling full time and eating out basically all the time. So I could get it down even less than that, surely, if we did decide to live here. But $450, I felt like was still reasonable. That's the highest price that we would ever pay. Healthcare, I am currently paying $56 a month for insurance for myself and my 2-year-old. If we were to live here, my husband would also get insurance here, an international plan. And then just any out-of-pocket expenses or anything that we might have, I'm gonna budget in $200, although that is pretty high. And I would imagine we would never spend that, but that's definitely on the high end. Next, I'm gonna go over a bunch of miscellaneous items like clothing. I have maybe $20 a month, although I doubt we would spend that much money on clothing. Household items like toilet paper, soap, shampoo, cleaning products, stuff like that, $20 a month. And you can get a house cleaner here for about $20 a week to come in and clean your house for half a day, which would be something that would be really nice. Not saying we would do that, but it is $20 once a week to have somebody come clean your house would be amazing. Most condos have gyms, but if for some reason it didn't, or we just wanted something extra, a gym membership or classes or like kickboxing classes and stuff like that, workout classes would be about $30 a month. And then I budgeted in $100 a month for kids' activities. I think it's important for Falcon, especially to like learn the language and meet other kids. Just being in a new city and stuff and having those experiences, I would want to put Falcon into some kids' activities, maybe a little half-day program a few days a week, mostly for building relationships with local people and then also learning the language, because it's so much easier to learn the language from local people than from me, because I'm going to have a strong accent and I just am not a good teacher of Thai. Something to consider if you do have older kids and they are school age and you want to send your kids to school. We homeschool, so this is not a factor in our decision. But even the local public schools here do charge a fee to foreigners, and that is around $500 a semester, US dollars, to cover tuition, books, uniform, and stuff like that. Local schools speak Thai, so if that is an issue for you, you can do an international school, but those are extremely expensive, closer to like $1,500 a month to send your kid to an international school. So factor that in. Again, we homeschool, so that's not even a consideration for us. So the cost of all of this per month is $1,860. And so I'm going to go ahead and round that up to $2,000 and add in a category for fun. And I'm going to go ahead and give us $140 a month of just fun money to be able to go out and do whatever we want to with, maybe do a little bit of traveling or just having some fun experiences that we wouldn't otherwise get to do. So for $2,000 a month, we could have a very high quality of life, not be stressed out about our financial situation, and get to do a lot of things that we never got to do when we were having to live in the United States and pay United States prices. Something else that we have to take into consideration are visas, because we would need a visa. You can't just move anywhere you want to. You have to qualify to live there and apply for a visa. Thailand has a visa called the DTV visa, and it's for digital nomads. For our family, it would be $270 per person per 180 days. So that's $810 every 6 months. You do need to have at least 14,000 US dollars in your bank account, which for us, that is pretty close to our emergency savings fund to cover like our emergency savings. So we would have that amount of money in our bank account anyway, just for emergencies. If you are over 50 and thinking about retiring in Thailand, they do have a retirement visa that if you have an income of, it's around $1,800 a month, which is what a lot of people get for their Social Security check or any pensions or any sort of like other income. As long as that totals $1,800 a month and you have health insurance, then those are mainly the requirements for the retirement visa, which I haven't done that much research on that because I don't qualify for that yet. But there are also other visa options for different types of people. So if you factor in our monthly living expenses plus the visa, it would cost us about $25,000 per year to live in Thailand. And again, this is high-end, semi-luxury budget of not having to worry about pinching pennies and being super frugal and just having a better quality of life than what we experienced in the United States. So let's talk about the cons of Thailand, because there are, of course, pros and cons of everywhere. The first con is I am pouring sweat right now as I'm filming this. It is very hot here. It is always hot here. It is a tropical environment and it is summer all the time. They have a dry season and a monsoon season. So it is either hot, sunny, and dry, or it is hot, rainy, and humid. And then it'll get sunny and be even more humid. So we lived in Florida for a while. We're kind of used to it. Florida does at least cool down a little bit, and it does not cool down here, at least not in Bangkok. You can go to northern Thailand and there are mountains and it does get cooler there. But it is hot here all the time, which is good for us most of the time. But fall is my favorite season, so I would miss fall for sure. That is one reason why we are going to go visit Vietnam tomorrow. And we're going to visit northern Vietnam and explore the mountains of northern Vietnam, because that's a little bit more like home for us because we're from the Appalachian Mountains. And so I can see a lot of similarities there that we might really love. The next con here is air quality. The air quality can be really bad here, especially during certain times of year. Burning season, which is now, they burn rice fields and the smoke and stuff comes down all the way to Bangkok, and especially Chiang Mai, like the northern part of Thailand is pretty bad. The islands miss the brunt of the bad air quality. So when we were down in the islands, the air quality was completely fine. But coming back up to Bangkok, you can tell that it's kind of smoggy, kind of hazy. There's also pollution that contributes to that. But some days it should be sunny, but there's so much smog that it is not. And then Bangkok is a ginormous city. It is loud, it is busy, and it can be overwhelming, especially for people who come from a more rural area. At the same time, it is exciting, and I enjoy it now, but I can see in the long term kind of getting tired of living that lifestyle all the time. There is limited nature, although for a big city, Bangkok does make space for a lot of greenery. There's huge parks, there's trees everywhere. A lot of the buildings have rooftop gardens like with palm trees on them. And so they are very aware of green spaces. So there are a lot of green spaces and parks. And we're currently, now that we are in Bangkok right now, it's called the Green Lung. We're going to be doing a whole video on it over on our other channel, on our vlog channel. But it's this huge park just of green tropical jungle in the middle of Bangkok. And it's really cool. But it's still not that away from the hustle and bustle quite as much as I would probably prefer. And then of course, it is far away from friends and family. We are now on an 11-hour time difference. So when our family's sleeping, we're awake, vice versa. It is hard to even talk to them via FaceTime and stuff like that. We have to do it early in the morning or late in the evening, and it is easy to miss each other. Of course, just the distance being far away is hard, and then plane tickets back home and travel back and forth is a lot because it does take so long to travel back and forth. So that is really the biggest consideration is family. Although my family is welcome to come and join me whenever they want to. Now the pros, obviously, cost of living is way better here than it is in the United States, especially now. Nobody needs me to tell you how expensive things are getting and how expensive things are going to continue to get in the future, or why. I don't need to explain that to you. So being here is just way less financial stress, way less hustle culture. Even the locals, they have their culture of they don't hurry, They work hard, but they don't overwork. They take breaks. And even when they're working, like when you're working in the US, like you better be working. When you're clocked in, you better be keeping yourself busy every single hour of the day. But here it's more like, if there's nothing to do, lay down and relax, hang out on a hammock, wait for things to get busy. And it's just a lot more downtime and not so stressful, even when you're working a job. It's just a much slower pace of life. We would be able to have a higher quality of life, have a lower cost of living, and then be able to also save more money as we make more money, we'll be able to save and invest more money for our future. It is very, very safe here. I've never felt safer in my entire life anywhere. People here are kind and generous, and are there things you need to be aware of? Of course. I haven't really felt that or experienced that walking around at night, walking around with a toddler. Everyone looks out for each other. I don't get creepy vibes from anyone or angry feelings. It's just very, very different, very safe. If you've never been here, I have a hard time explaining it to you, but just trust me when I say, like, the environment here is peaceful and relaxing. You don't realize that you've been in an unsafe situation until you leave it and go somewhere else that's different. There are unlimited things to do here, especially for Falcon. We are going to be doing a whole video on things to do in Bangkok with a toddler, with kids, over again on our vlog channel. And then convenience. There is a level of convenience here that I have never experienced before, and that gives you your time back. So food, if you don't want to cook food or you don't have the time to cook food or whatever, you can just literally walk on the street and there's high quality, delicious food right there, already pre-made for you, ready to go for you to take home, which is also a con because the food here is delicious and you want to eat everything and it's really cheap and affordable. So that could also be a con if you don't have any self-control, which we've had to, learn some self-control because we would just like to try everything. And I'm sure eventually it'll be old and jaded to us and we won't need to try everything. But the food here is delicious and amazing and so convenient. There are 7-Elevens everywhere. You can just walk out your door and go into 7-Eleven. And the 7-Elevens here are not like the 7-Elevens in the US. They have everything you could possibly need. A lot of times they have like where you can get coffee. They have like little sandwich. It's just pre-made food and it's good and it's delicious. And 7-Elevens are so convenient to just be able to walk in and get anything you need. You don't have to like pre-plan to go to the store and gather all of the things you need for the next week or two. You can just go grab it real quick at 7-Eleven every day, and it's not any more expensive. And then just the convenience of easy traveling in and around Bangkok, from Bangkok. There's so much public transportation here that you can very easily access the entire city and all the things to do in the city. And there's so many different transportation options. Within Thailand, you can go and visit tropical islands. You can go up north to the mountains and visit the mountains. You can visit big cities. Bangkok has a huge international airport with flights all over the world that, you can go anywhere very easily. It is a great hub. There's obviously a lot that goes into considering moving to a different country, or even just living in a different country long term or for a year or however long you decide to do that. So haven't made any decisions. We're not even close to making a decision, but it is something that we have thought about, and that option, that door is open for us. With everything that's going on in the world right now, I think having as many options as possible that are available to you is always a good idea, because our goal really is to have the best life possible for us and for our family, for our kids. And that is what we are trying to do and searching for the long term.